So let's just do a quick review. The Tzadik, there's two kinds of Tzadikim. These two guys don't have an evil desire. And when I say evil, I don't mean evil. They don't have physical desires. All their desires are godly. They never wanted something for themselves. They're not hungry. They're not thirsty. They're not tired. They will notice that they can't serve God properly because they're weak. That's why they will eat. They will notice that that physically they're sluggish. That's why they're going to go to sleep. So they'll have more energy to serve God. But they don't have physical desires like we say physical desires. It's something. That's the two righteous people.
Like angels.
Kind of like angels, yeah. Kind of like angels, you're right. Kind of like angels. Then, last time, we discussed the two Rasha. There's a Rasha that sins once in a while, doesn't sin constantly, and immediately after he sins, he has regret. Let's take an example. There's a guy who's driving next to McDonald's. He knows it's not kosher. So there's one guy who drives next to McDonald's, and every day he has a battle. The battle is to enter McDonald's or not to enter McDonald's. That's the battle that he has. Should I go to McDonald's or don't go to McDonald's? And he doesn't go. Once every 5-6 years, he really has a bad desire and he goes in. But immediately after he goes in, as he leaves out, he feels awful. Oh, I broke my streak. I had a 5-year streak. I broke it. So he's sorry about it. That's one type of Rasha. There's another type of Rasha who goes into McDonald's every time he sees it, every time he wants to. Not only he goes into McDonald's every time he wants to, when he leaves, he takes a coupon for next time. He's already planning. In other words, you can see it, there's no regret. He's already planning the coupon for tomorrow. So he can get a cheap McDonald's for tomorrow. That's the other kind of Rasha. Yeah, the two Rashaim. And today, we're going to be introduced to this creature called the Beinoni. So let's start. We are on page 49, chapter 12. Page 49 in the bottom, chapter 12. Perek Yud Bet. Am I good? Ve'habeinoni, and the Beinoni, who is the Beinoni? He's not an angel. I like your description, like the two tzaddikim. He's someone who struggles. Who does he struggle? Like us. Like any one of us. Who? So if he struggles, maybe he's a Rasha. So he's not a Rasha. Why? Shele'olam, because never. En hara gover kol kach. The temptation, his evil inclination, never becomes in him so strong. לכבוש את העיר קטנה, to conquer his body. It never conquers its body. להתלבש בגוף, להחטיאו. It never dresses in the body to make him sin. The guy never sins. Never sins. And he's a Beinoni. He's not a Tzadik. How do I know he's not a Tzadik? Because he wants to. But he never lets it. He never lets himself sin. Dehainu, in what doesn't he sin? In which aspect doesn't he sin? ששלוש לבושי הנפש הבהמית, that the three garments of the animal soul, שהם, that they are, thought, speech and action, מחשבה, דיבור ומעשה, he never sins in thoughts, he never sins in speech, and he never sins in action. And you're going to tell me, if he never sinned in thought, he's a tzaddik. Why do you call him a Beinoni? Because bad thoughts do come to him. He never entertains them. He never entertains them. Okay. Let's explain. He thinks of sinning. He never thinks about the sin. In other words, the idea of sinning comes into his mind, he immediately pushes it away. He doesn't let himself dwell on it. Let me give you an example. Oh, this woman that belongs to somebody else, she looks attractive. That pops into his mind. And he never dwells. Oh, she looks very attractive and I like this about her. And that he will never do. As soon as the thought that she's attractive comes into his mind, he's aware and he pushes it away. So the thought he has no control over. The action to think about her, he does have control over her. He never fails. By the way, if I ask you what's harder to be a Benoni and a Tzadik?
Harder to be a Benoni?
A million times harder. It's easy to be a Tzadik.
Tzadik is...
It's easy.
From God. It's from God.
It's easy to be a Tzadik. It's easy. You don't have to put zero effort to be a Tzadik. That's who you are. A Benoni might be in struggle every second of the day. Yes.
I'm sorry, Rabbi. The Benoni, is this person born that way, or did he come to this place in his life from achievement?
Were you born that way? You're the Benoni.
Heck no. Are you kidding me? I'm nowhere near a Benoni.
Excuse me?
I'm trying to be a Benoni.
Oh, we're talking about that soon.
I'm trying to be that.
Oh, is that... Should you strive to be a Tzadik?
Theoretically, I suppose. But
So the answer is no.
No.
Why can't you strive to be a Tzadik?
I'll never reach the point where...
Maybe you will, but you can't strive to be a Tzadik because you are not a Tzadik. It's like somebody asks, how come there's no new Lubavitcher Rebbe? Because there's no Tzadikim. Everybody knows about himself that he has evil thoughts. A Tzadik doesn't have evil thoughts.
So in theory, there could be a Tzadik in 1 or 20 years. And I don't know how...
There for sure are 36 hidden Tzadikim today.
No, within Lubavitch.
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically.
Yes.
I don't know how a son who would really...
Yeah, but theoretically you're right.
But you have to come before them.
Yeah. Amen. So you are...
People aren't predisposed to be Benoni.
You are predisposed to be a Benoni.
Okay.
What does it mean? Can you tell me one thing, one commandment that you're not able to do?
Yeah.
Which one?
I'm never gonna, mess around with my sister, for example.
No, tell me one thing that you're not able to say, to do. Not things that you...
Oh, I thought you said something that I would never...
That you can't. It's impossible for you to do. That you can. You're going to fail. That you know for sure. Stop. Don't answer. I'm not a priest. I'm not a priest. You don't have to tell me. You won't be able to. Because there's nothing in Jewish law that you cannot do. Maybe you don't want to put the effort. That's something else. That's up to you.
So Hashem designed me that I can do it.
Oh. And today we're going to start to see not only how He's going to give us ways to do it. Because it seems very lofty. He's going to bring it down to our level. He's going to start in the book of Tanya. Is all this book, the entire thing, is how to accomplish a guy like me and you can accomplish becoming a Benoni.
So you can start as Rasha Gamur at some point, become a Rasha with regrets, and at some point could be a Benoni over time.
Very good, but I don't know if you can start at Rasha Gamur unless God awakes you. Because you have no motivation to grow necessarily.
Well, things can happen to people.
Yeah. That's before me. But you cannot cause it. God has to cause it maybe. Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
Moshe Rabbeinu is the
Sure.
same.
Yeah. We'll discuss it when we get to it. It's a whole book. So the guy doesn't sin in thought. Of course he doesn't sin in speech. He will never waste time with speech or embarrass somebody. Umase, or did, of course not. שמצד הקליפה, that are from the animal soul, אין גוברים בו על נפש האלוקית. They're never going to be stronger than the godly soul, להתלבש בגוף ובמוח ובפה. So they're actually going to talk to him the entire time maybe. But they're not necessarily going to, they're for sure not going to enter thought, speech, and action. ובשאר רמ"ח איברים להחטיאם. And in any other 240 limbs to make them sins. ולטמאם חס ושלום. To make them impure, God forbid. What happens by him? רק שלושה לבושי הנפש האלוקית, only the three garments of the soul, thought, speech, and action of the godly soul, הם לבדם מתלבשים בגוף. They by themselves are going to get dressed in the body. So there's two people living inside of him. There's the animal soul, who tells me, take care of me. He listens to it all the time. He hears it, He hears it constantly, but he never listens to it. In other words, the ideas come into his mind. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But they do come into his mind, just like me and you. There's no difference. The difference between him and us, by the way, there is no difference between him and us, because there are some things that we are like a Beinoni. We have desires to do and we don't do. Everybody has desires to steal once in a while. Easy money. I can write in the contract this and this and this and this. Yeah? Most normal people don't steal. They say,
10%, you still have to give things back.
Let's keep that. Yeah. So the desire is there, but most people say, I'm not a thief. I'm not going to steal, right? Even though one has a desire. The desire for women is natural. All men have. That doesn't mean you're going to rape every woman in the street. We control ourselves. And we're going to talk soon about that.
I have to live in a yeshiva or a monastery. I have to be in this society.
Not correct. And we talk. And this is what the book is going to be all about. You see, shehem machshava dibur maaseh, thought, speech, and action. Only that this body does are 613 commandments of the Torah. And this is going to be a statement that we're going to read now that we need to understand. It sounds controversial. It's not as controversial as you think. So this Beinoni, lo avar avera miyamav, he never transgressed a sin in his life, velo ya'avor le'olam, and in the future he will never transgress. Now, this is very interesting. What do you mean he will never transgress in the future? First of all, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And according to this now, if you ever transgressed, it's too late. You will never be able to be in it. That's not what it means. So let's understand what it means over here. He never transgressed. So, yeah. So let's understand what it means. So according to this, if you say never transgress, it means that if you once sinned, you will never be able to be a Beinoni. That's not what it means. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example from my own life. The way I am right now, Rami Bigelman, the way I am right now as a human being right now, if you come and ask me if I'm going to put you back as I am right now, anywhere in your past, any day, any situation in your past, do you see yourself right the way you are right now, not putting on tefillin one day? Can you see yourself not putting, the way I am right now, if I take yourself to the past, can you see yourself not putting on tefillin? No. So I will tell you, no, I don't see myself. In the future, do you see yourself not putting tefillin? I'll tell you, no, I can't. That doesn't mean tomorrow I become a Rasha. I might change. But right now, the way I am, I can't picture it. Let me give you another example from my life right now. You asked me, Rabbi Bigelman, the way you are right now, is it possible that you're ever going to miss mincha in any situation in the past or any situation in the future? Yeah, it is possible. it's possible I'm going to miss mincha. For some people are as sure about mincha as they are about tefillin. By the way, I should do tshuva on it. And I'm trying to work on it. Right? Mincha is hard. Sometimes, you're busy, you're doing stuff, and it's over. It's done. Yeah? Sometimes it happens. See the difference? The one is that the way I am right now, it's out of my mind. This is what a Benoni is. A Benoni is a creature that cannot see any situation where any of the 613 commandments is going to transgress. He's just like me with tefillin. There's no difference between me and him. I have it in tefillin and do not kill and do not steal and maybe some other stuff. He has it, all 613. So the only difference between us is the amount of commandments that we do. It's not that much. Right? ולא נקרא עליו שם רשע, and he cannot fathom himself be called רשע, אפילו שעה אחת, even for one moment, ורגע אחת כל ימיו. In 1 second, his entire time. So what happens by him? How does he behave? אך מהות ועצמות נפש האלוקית, but his godly soul, שהם 10 בחינותיה, with all her 10 attributes. So, in other words, the question is, why is he not a tzaddik then? Because לא להן לבדם מלוכה וממשלה. The godly soul is not the only one who's talking to him. It's true that it's the only one he listens to. But he constantly has his animal soul that screams at him, take care of me, take care of me, take care of me. By the way, theoretically, and probably there are such people, there are probably a Rasha Veralo who battles the evil inclination will talk to him less than a Benoni. Think about that chess. Because a Rasha Veralo is someone who doesn't regret. But it's possible that he wants to sin once every 5 years. If he sins, he will not regret it. Yeah? But it's not necessarily that the evil inclination is attacking him all the time. It attacks him once every 5 years. The Benoni is possible that all day long he's battling. It's a status of mind. Don't think about it like higher in religiosity. Because religiously, a Benoni, a Rasha Veralo can be a more religious kind of than a Benoni. Not than a Benoni, than a Rasha ve-tovlo.
So it's a quality more than quantity.
It's the quality of the person, not the quantity. So it's not the only godly soul that governs ba'ir ktana. And over here we're going to get something which is going to take the Benoni, it looks like, out of our realm. You're going to come and say, no, up to now I thought maybe theoretically I can become a Benoni. Now he's going to come with, what am I supposed to be as a Benoni? כי אם בעיתים מזומנים, in other words, he will not have an evil inclination in auspicious times. For example, כמו בשעת קריאת שמע ותפילה. For example, at the time of reading Shema and davening. Let's try to explain this. See, when a Benoni davens, he's a Tzadik. He's not a Benoni. The question is why?
Nothing enters his mind. No evil enters his mind.
When does things enter his mind of a Benoni? When he's actively doing something else which is not holy. Some things can enter his mind. But what is davening? Let's discuss what is prayer. The word tefillah in Hebrew, which means prayer, comes, one of the interpretations anyway, comes from the Aramaic root word tafel, which means to stick, to become together, to unite. What do we do when we daven, when we pray to God? Prayer to God is not asking for things. That's not prayer. That's Christianity. In Judaism, prayer to God is to become one with God. In the Zohar, the analogy is a relationship between the husband and wife. They become one, they unite. See, think about God like your wife. Your wife doesn't mind if you don't think about her when you're at work. She should still be in the back of your mind when you're at work. Yeah, but if you think about somebody else when you work, it's appropriate. It's not so inappropriate. Not another woman, another thing but her. Yeah, another woman that she's going to mind. But if you think about money, you think about your career, you think about science, whatever you want to think, she doesn't mind. But at the time you're supposed to be with her, and then you think about mundane things, that's a no-no. The same thing with God. See, I gave us 3 times a day, God says, it's our time. It's my time to you unite. At that time, I want your full attention. And you're supposed to, I require full attention. And if I don't get full attention from you, there's something wrong with you. In other words, it's the time to unite with me. You find something else to unite with? What are you thinking about? Money right now? So a Beinani, at the time of davening, what is he?
He's righteous.
He's a tzaddik. He wants to unite. He is into the unification. He thinks about it. He's completely engrossed in it. It's not like when he's at work.
And if not, he's a Rasha.
Oh, so that's an easy way to know the person's level. If you daven and other thoughts come into your mind, what do you know?
I'm not a better.
Yet. Put the word yet. And we're going to have solutions even for that.
We said many times that over time you can move.
We're going to have solutions also for that. We're going to see another
You're
one.
not doomed.
That's right.
It seems like my animal instincts attack me more when I'm trying to.
That's right. That's right. By the way, there's one thing that you need to keep in mind. It's not the class today. There's going to be a whole chapter about it later on. But I have to mention it right now. When you pray and it goes good, the prayer wasn't good.
What do you mean it goes good?
You didn't think about other stuff.
What do you mean pray and it goes good?
You prayed and you concentrated on God.
Oh, you mean other thoughts didn't.
People like us, when we pray and it goes good, your prayer wasn't good. When you pray and you constantly were thinking about other things and you pushed yourself back and back and back 100 times, that was a good prayer. And I'll tell you why. If you pray and it goes good, it means the evil inclination is not threatened.
Right.
In other words, it's possible you're praying because of your ego. It's possible you're praying because you got a high from it. Nothing to do with God. There's a lot of people who experience high. Buddhists experience highs every time they pray. They're serving themselves. They're serving the high. They're not serving God in prayer. Yeah. So sometimes when a person, in other words, a proof that the davening is going well, that your prayer is good, is if other thoughts come in. It means that the evil inclination is threatened by this kind of closeness to God. That's why he attacks. You're just something to think about. There's one more thing. There was one guy, the Megiddo is rich. One of the Hasidim came to Megiddo is rich. And he told him, I have a problem with this Beinani concept. Talking about this is almost 300 years ago, 250 years ago. I have a problem. Also, in those times, the Hasidim had a problem. How am I going to become a Beinani? How is it possible to pray and to do every day? Yeah? When the evil inclination constantly comes into my mind, How is it possible to keep him out all the time? It doesn't seem logical that a person should be able to do so. So the Maggid Mizrich told him, there's a certain chassid of mine, his name was Rabbi Moshe. Go to him, he's some city in Russia. Go to him and ask him this question. So he goes to Rabbi Moshe. He gets there on Friday, just before sunset, and he asks around, where's Rabbi Moshe's house? He goes to Rabbi Moshe's house, he sees there's lights in the house, and there's lots of people inside, and he hears a lot of preparation, so he knocks on the door, no one answers. Knocks on the door a second time, no one answers. Waits a couple of 5 minutes, says maybe somebody's going to come out, somebody coming again. Knocks on the door again, no answer. It becomes almost Shabbat right now. He's with his suitcase right on the door 250 years ago, you can imagine. No place to stay. So what does he do? He says, Shabbat is coming around, I have no choice. So he goes to shul. Now usually in those times in small villages or in big cities, the shul, all the homeless, the poor people will get into shul, they will get some food in shul, and they could sleep also. They would have a place to sleep in shul. So he is the big chassid. He doesn't have a choice. He's in another city. He goes to shul. He spends the whole Shabbat in shul, like all the homeless guys, like all the poor guys. He gets some food. He gets a place to sleep. And after Shabbat is over, a chassid comes over to him and he says, Shalom Aleichem, my name is Rav Moshe. Come over, I want to talk to you. So he looks at Rav Moshe and he tells him, I don't understand you. You know, I traveled all the way from here. The Maggid Mizrich sent me. He himself sent me over here. He told me to come over to ask. He's not going to be happy about your behavior. He says, I know that you heard me when I knocked on the door. I know that you heard it because I knocked on the door and I heard the voices and I heard everything. And because of that, I was forced to come over here and spend all my Shabbos over here like a homeless guy. Why did you do that? So he asked him, what was your question that the Maggid wanted to tell you? So he says, I don't understand when the thoughts all the time knock on my ears, how to not let them in. So this is Rav Moshe says, I just showed you how. The knocking is going to come. The evil inclination is going to knock. For sure, it's going to knock. You have a control whether you open the door for it or don't open the door for it. You have control for it. And we're going to see, why do I say, how do I know that you have control? Maybe some of us don't have control. We'll discuss soon. According to some cultures in America, they don't have control. They're allowed to riot, they're allowed to do whatever, because they don't have control. קריאת שמע ותפילה, שישעת מוחין דגדלות למעלה. So there's a time that a Beinani is required to be a Tzadik. When is required to be a Tzadik? When he's supposed to be one with God. וגם למטה ישעת הכושר לכל אדם, שאז מקשר חב"ד שלו להשם, להעמיק דעתו בגדולת אינסוף ברוך הוא. Because it's a time where God says, this is the time where you're supposed to do what? Where you're supposed to do ve'ahavta. This is what Shema says. Ve'ahavta, and you should love. In other words, the mitzvah in Shema is to ignite the love that you have for me. That's the mitzvah of Shema. So every time a person says Shema, what is he supposed to do? Ignite in himself the love of God. That's it. That's what Shema means. Shema means getting to a place of remembering your relationship with God and loving Him. So if that, you didn't do it, in other words, if you thought about something else, it means you don't love God. Or God is not important enough for you. Whichever way you want to say it. ולעורר את האהבה, and to awaken the love, כרשפי אש, like fiery fire, בחלב הימיני שבליבו, in the right ventricle in his heart, like we learned before, לדבקה בו, to attach oneself, בקיום התורה ומצוותיה, in fulfilling all Torah and all commandments. מאהבה, out of love of God. In other words, the Benoni is required to be a Tzadik at the time of Shema. It's a requirement. That's the mitzvah. The mitzvah of Shema is to be a Tzadik at that time. That's the mitzvah of Shema. In other words, let's say it in technical terms, to only think about God.
Is that what we have to cover?
Yes, you can concentrate. Yes, you can. So you can concentrate. You don't see the world around you. שזהו עניין המבואר בקריאת שמע דאורייתא. This is what Shema is all about. וברכותיה שלפניה. And this is what the blessing that leads to Shema, we're going to learn about the blessings later on, that were added by the rabbis. Because why? There used to be a time where people were fine people. What do you mean fine? Refined people. You tell somebody to think about God, to love God, he would close his eyes and think about God and he would love him. After a while, I can close my eyes, but I don't feel the love. So what is the rabbis added? The rabbis added the blessings of Shema. If you look at the blessing, what are the blessings of Shema? The blessings of Shema, if you have the angels saying Kadosh, 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 the angels, the high things of God are completely nullified to godliness, to God. And they say about God, He's so big, He's so separated from us. He's so separated from us. He's so separated from us. 3 times, 3 words separated from us. We learn about it some other time. He's so away from us. So when you contemplate even how the angels are completely far away from God, they have no way to connect to Him. And nevertheless, God gave you the permission to connect to Him. You as a human being, who not an angel, can connect to Him. That awakens you to love Him. That's why the rabbis added it, to awaken the person to be able to experience their emotion. Shehem derabanan. Hen hachana lekiyum krishma. They are the preparation to fulfilling the commandment of Kriyat Shema. כמו שכתוב במקום אחר, like it is written in somewhere else. ואז, and then what happens? הרע שבחלל השמאלי, it's not like you don't have the evil inclination anymore. You do have the evil inclination. But what happens during that davening? כפוף ובטל לטוב. The evil inclination is nullified to the good. He's pushed away. But think about it. Why is he pushed away? He's not pushed away naturally. You have to actively think about God in order for Him not to be there. If you just be, it's there. That's why immediately after you say the Shema, immediately after prayer, what happens? It will come again. It will, your natural state, our natural state, the natural state we live in is that the evil inclination is going to come knocking. That's the natural state. When is the only time it's not going to come knocking? When we actively think about God. But if we're not actively thinking about God, the natural state of the evil inclination is to come knocking. לטוב המתפשט בחלל הימיני, מחב"ד שהמוח, המקושרים לא יותר אינסוף הוא. אבל, but like we said, אחר התפילה, after prayer, what happens? בהסתלקות המוחין, where you're not concentrating on godliness, the godless אין סוף ברוך הוא, הרי הרע חוזר וניור בחלל השמאלי. The evil inclination starts knocking again. So this is the difference. By the way, you can have a Beinoni who's always in prayer. And he's still a Beinoni. In other words, he never had an evil thought in his life. Why? Because he's always actively thinking about God. Even when he's at work, throughout the day, he's actively thinking about God. Now, you say that's impossible. You're right.
It's a righteous person.
No. I'll tell you why. Because if you will not actively think about God for 1 second, the evil inclination is going to come and knocking. A righteous person that's a difference.
Okay.
See the difference? It's a big difference.
So you can't
He-
be a truck driver, because when you think constantly about God,
Oh,
you will go to God sooner than you like.
he will have to be a rabbi or something like that actively all the time. Yeah, that's right. He will not be able to be a good businessman, because a good businessman is supposed to think about his business.
They say if you want to talk to God, pray. If you want to see God, text and drive.
Very good. So what happens after he's actively talking about God? הרי הרע חוזר וניעור בחלל השמאלי. If he's not actively thinking about God, the evil inclination is going to be reawakened. הוא מתאווה תאווה לתאוות. עולם הזה ותענוגיו. And he's going to have desires for these worldly pleasures. He cannot control it. He's not going to act upon it. He's not going to he's going to think of them, not about them. But he's a Rasha. He's a Benoni. See, a Benoni and us are the same creature. He actually takes life serious. רק מפני שלא לבדו משפט המלוכה והממשלה בעיר. So the reason, how come the evil inclination doesn't win? Because it's not the only one who's talking. The evil inclination is constantly talking, it's correct. But the godly inclination also tells him, do what God says, do what God says, do what God says. And because the godly inclination is going to be stronger by him, we're going to see, who says? Soon. אינו יכול להוציא תאוותו מכוח אל הפועל. He's not able, the evil inclination, to actually bring the person to sin. להתלבש באיברי הגוף, to get dressed in the limbs of the body, במעשה דיבור ומחשבה ממש, in thought, speech and action. להעמיק מחשבתו בתענוגי עולם הזה. He is not capable of actually thinking about the sin. Can only think about of the sin. איך למלות תאוות ליבו. So let's remember the two Reshaim. There's a Rasha like this. There's a Rasha that goes into McDonald's and plans to go again. He doesn't feel any guilt. Then there's the Rasha who once in a while has a desire to go in. Once in a while, usually he doesn't go in, he wins. But then 1% of the time he fails and he goes in. A Beinani has the desire to go in, but he knows 100% he will never fail. In other words, he doesn't have a battle whether I'm going to go in or not. He doesn't. He knows for sure he has the desire to go in. He knows for sure he never will.
Like
See?
to feel it, just like with
Oh, very good.
That doesn't mean, God forbid, that one day, the next 8
The way he is right now.
I know.
The way he is right now.
God
You're right?
knows.
Yeah, that's right. The way he is right now. See, people change all the time. People change. To bad and to good.
What?
Yeah. Okay? So, this is what a Benoni is. A Benoni knows for sure, there's going to be a battle, but for sure, I'm going to do it. There's not a question whether I'm going to go in or not. See, the Rasha and Tovlo has a hard, think about it, a harder battle, because he's not sure if he's going to go in or not. Even though 99% of the time he didn't go in, still something in the back of his mind tells him, I might go in one day. That's the problem with him. I might go in but one day. A Beinani, all the 613 commandments, not just some of them like us, all the 613 commandments, he knows, I might have the desire, but I'm not going to do it. I might have a desire to punch somebody in the nose because he irritates me. I'm not going to do it. I might have a desire to kill somebody. I'm not going to do it. I might have a desire to be with a woman I'm not supposed to be with. I'm not going to do it. He knows. Now, okay? And now we're going to see, how do we know this? How do I know that he's not going to do it? Maybe some people don't have the power. And this is what he's going to say now. Ki hamoach, by the way, this is, I think, one of the most important thing that the Tanya is going to tell you, right? The next 4 words. Hamoach shalit al halev. By Jews, the intellect controls the emotions. What does it mean the intellect controls the emotions? The only animal, the only creature that can go on a diet is a human being. A dog cannot go on a diet. For example, if you put a steak next to the dog and you tell him not to eat it, the heart is going to decide, the heart of the emotions of the dog is going to decide whether he's going to eat it or not. What do I mean the emotions? Either he's afraid of you or he's hungry. If he's more afraid of you than he's hungry, he's not going to eat it. At the moment his hunger is going to be more than he's afraid of you, he is going to eat it. A human being have the ability to not be afraid of you, be very hungry, and not eat. Only a human being has it. A dog, if he's not afraid of you, and you put a steak next to him, he's going to eat it. Everybody who knows he has a dog knows that a dog will eat until he pukes if you give him to eat. Because that's what they are. They cannot control their emotions. They don't have control in emotions. And human beings have control over their emotions. How do we know this? כמו שכתוב ברמייהם לפרשת פנחס. Just like it's written in the Zohar, in Parashat Pinchas. Now, what gives us this power? בתולדתו. We were born with it. You don't have to create it. Every human being has it. וטבע יצירתו. It's the nature that you were created in. God created you that way. You're a creature that controls their emotions. Whether you control your emotions or not is up to you. You have the power to control your emotions at all situations. I'll tell you a story that I heard once. There was a rabbi in Crown Heights. He was the passenger in Crown Heights. And if you know Crown Heights, it's New York. When somebody goes out into a store, there's no parking. So somebody went into some store and there was no parking. So they left the car double parked. So he's sitting in the passenger seat in a double parked car and he's saying, doing Tehillim, whatever he was doing, reading in a book, waiting for the... And then he sees a mother with her 8-year-old boy marching out of the store, in her hand, and he sees that she is angry. She's really angry at the boy. He did probably something wrong. He was driving her crazy in the store. She's going with the boys, and she opens the car door in the back. She puts the boy inside, the booster seat, whatever it is. She closes him up. She turns into her seat, where she comes. She opens the door, she goes in, and then she turns around and she starts screaming at the kid. Whatever she was screaming at him. Right? After 10 seconds of when she's screaming at the kid, going crazy, she notices the rabbi sitting next to her. And she stops immediately. Now, look what happened. She was triggered where? She was triggered in the store. She was triggered in the store. How come in the store she didn't control herself? How come in the store she did control herself? She had full control in the store. Because it was next to other people. She couldn't lose control. So she has the ability to control her emotions. Because in the store, she did control her emotions. Once she left the store and she thought by herself, she's by herself, just her and the kid, what happened? All of a sudden, she lost control over her emotions. She didn't. How do I know she didn't lose control? Because as soon as she saw the rabbi, it didn't take a millisecond. She had full control over it again. In other words, the idea that intellect controls his emotions, where did she get that power? It's inherent. Every human being has it. So the question comes now. So why don't we see it in ourselves? How come I lose control constantly? The answer is because we don't practice it. The more you will practice it, the more you'll be successful. The less you practice it, the less you'll be successful. Practice means active. What does it mean? It means actively practicing. Hasidim have customs to practice self-control. I'll give you an example. There's ice cream on a table on Shabbos. Even though it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to eat ice cream on Shabbos. It's a mitzvah to enjoy yourself. It's not a problem to eat the ice cream. Eat half of what you want. Eat half. Who says you need the whole thing? And you know what? Eat the whole thing. But say to yourself, I'm not going to eat it now. I am not going to eat it now. I'm going to eat it in 10 seconds from now. Relax. Relax. It has to be practiced. And it has to be thoughtful practice. It's not going to come on its own. Because when it comes on its own, we're going to lose the game. It has to be constant practice. The more one practices, that there's such a concept that we are supposed to control our emotions, not everything that triggers us we should act upon, the more we will succeed. It's the first rule of Tanya. There's going to be hundreds of rules over here. The first rules of Tanya, actively practicing self-control. Don't wait for it to happen and then try to act. You won't be able to. It has to be, the more you practice it, I don't think it'll be perfect, the easier it will become. But you'll have to actively practice in order to become a Benoni. That's the first rule. And that's something that every human being has. The example from that woman, she has full control of her emotions. And the proof, look at ourselves. We don't fight with the wives in public the same way we fight with our wives in private. It's a different kind of fight. Right? Why? Because it's different. Because we can't control it. Sometimes the embarrassment controls it for us. But the fact is that we can control it. Okay.